Chapter 7. The Hermit's Fire. The Bloodwild's cursed heart clung to Dylan like damp rot, its grey skeletal trees whispering dread with every step. The air was sour, heavy with the stink of decay and something fouler, like despair baked into the mire. Twisted branches clawed a starless sky, their black sap dripping into ashen fungi that barely pulsed. Dylan's starry scars burned, his scalp stinging from the Zelba's graze, his shoulder wound a dull throb under bloodied rags. The dagger Veyr gave him was slick in his sweaty grip, a frail shield against the jungle's hunger. Veyr stalked beside him, leathers creaking, grey eyes sharp despite the blood crusting his lip, from the Zelba fight. Zariel, the wood elf hunter, led the way, his moss-green cloak blending with the shadows, obsidian-tipped arrows rattling softly. Corrin's hut was close, a flicker of hope to unravel Dylan's scars and Eryndor's grip, but the forest's eerie pulse screamed they'd pay for answers in blood. Zariel paused at a clearing, the ground spongy, veined with red like a flayed corpse. A ramshackle hut squatted ahead, its walls woven from vines and bone, roofed with mouldy thatch. Smoke curled from a crooked chimney, its scent sharp, like burned herbs and copper. "Corrin's lair," Zariel said, voice low, his luminous eyes scanning the trees. "He's alive, but the darkness clings here. Be wary." Veyr snorted, kicking a grey fungus that crumbled to ash. "Wary's my middle name, elf. Let's get this over with." He winked at Dylan, his scowl softening a fraction. "Stay sharp, boy. Old men with secrets are more dangerous than beasts, but only half as dangerous as a beautiful woman." Dylan nodded, throat tight, the dagger's weight a reminder of his uselessness. The hut loomed, its door a patchwork of wood and hide, runes scratched into its frame glowing faintly. Zariel knocked, a hollow thud, and the door creaked open. A figure shuffled out, Corrin, old as sin, his long white beard tangled with twigs, his rags hanging off a bony frame. A gnarled wooden staff, carved with spiraling thorns, propped him up, its tip sinking into the mire. His single eye, milky and piercing, fixed on them. The other socket was a gouged ruin, scarred like a battlefield. His voice rasped, dry as dead leaves. "Veyr, been expecting you. Inside, all of you." Dylan's skin crawled, Corrin's eye freezing him in place. How the fuck did this hermit know Veyr? They followed him into the hut, the air thick with smoke and the tang of strange herbs. Shelves sagged with jars of glowing sap, dried roots and bones tied with sinew. A fire crackled in a stone hearth, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. Corrin gestured to a table of warped wood, laden with bowls of stew, chunks of grey meat in a broth that smelled of earth and blood. "Eat," he said, already limping to a corner where he ground strange ingredients, violet petals, bone dust, a pulsing red fungus, into a clay bowl. Veyr sat, sniffing the stew with a grimace but spooning it up. Zariel stood by the door, bow ready, eyes on the shadows. Dylan hesitated, hunger warring with distrust, then ate, the broth, bitter but warm, coating his throat like regret. Corrin returned, his staff tapping, and handed Dylan a wooden cup filled with a swirling, misty elixir, its surface shimmering like starlight trapped in oil. "Drink, boy," he said, his eye glinting. "Your wounds fester. This'll mend you." Dylan gagged at the smell, rotten fruit and iron, but Veyr's nod was a command. He downed it, the elixir burning like acid, tasting of ash and honey. His stomach heaved, but warmth spread. His shoulder wound knitting, the pain fading to a dull ache. His head cleared, the jungle's dread loosening its grip. "Shit," he muttered, flexing his arm. "That actually worked." Corrin's lip twitched, almost a smile. "The Bloodwild gives if you know its secrets." He sank onto a stool by the fire, pulling a pouch from his rags. He spilled bones and teeth, yellowed, etched with runes, onto a wooden stump, their clatter loud in the smoky hush. His eye narrowed, fingers tracing the scatter. The boy's future lies here. Listen. His voice shifted, a cadence like poetry, cryptic and heavy, each line an enigma veiled in mist. Star-marked wanderer, lost in red, blade in hand, yet heart of dread. God's old wounds will bleed anew, light and void clash where you're due. Betrayal waits in trusted eyes, love's fierce flame burns, then dies. Blood on hands, a choice to make. Stand or flee, your soul at stake. Shrine of stars calls through the storm, power's price will twist your form. Path of thorns, no turning back, find the truth in Vaughn's black crack. Dylan's scars burned, the words sinking like thorns. He glanced at Veyr, who leaned forward, jaw tight, eyes searching Corin's face. "What the fuck does that mean, old man?" Dylan asked, voice cracking. "Gods!" "Betrayal? I just want to know why I'm here." Corin's eye flicked to him, unreadable. "The bones don't lie, but they don't coddle. You'll understand when the time comes." He gathered the bones, voice hardening. "I'll help you, Veyr. Explain what the boy's scars mean, what Eryndor wants, but first, you owe me a debt." Veyr's hand twitched toward his sword, his growl low. "Debt? I don't owe you shit, hermit." "You do now," Corin said, staff tapping the floor. "A girl's gone missing, Liss, from a village south of the Bloodwild River, 16, bright as starlight, but her father's a drunk, fists heavy with rage, her mother's broken, silent. Liss vanished a week ago and the village whispers of beasts, bandits, or worse. Find her, bring her back, or learn her fate. Then I'll give you your answers." Dylan's stomach twisted, the stew turning sour. A missing girl, a violent father. It hit too close, echoes of his own uselessness, his mum's faded voice telling him to be more. "What if she's dead?" he asked, voice small. Corin's eye bored into him. "And you'll know. Truce, Blade boy, wield it." Veyr stood, leathers creaking, his scowl dark. "A fucking side trip? For some village brat? You're playing us, old man." "Refuse and you walk blind," Corin said, unyielding. "Liss's fate ties to yours, though you don't see it yet. The Bloodwild tests all who seek its truths." Zariel shifted, his bow lowering slightly. "I know the village. It's a hard place, rotten with despair. I'll guide you, but the river's no safe road. Thorn schools and worse prowl there." Veyr cursed, pacing, then stopped, eyes locked on Dylan. "You're in this, boy. No whining. We find the girl, get our answers, move on. Fuck up, and I'll leave you for the vipers." His voice softened, just a fraction. "You did all right with the Zelba. Don't make me regret keeping you alive." Dylan nodded, gripping the dagger, Corin's prophecy echoing, betrayal, blood, a choice. The hermit's elixir had mended his body, but his mind churned with fear. The missing girl's story a weight he didn't want. Domestic abuse, alcoholism, it was too real, too raw, like the coastal town he'd fled, its own drunks and broken homes. He wasn't a hero, just a loser with glowing scars, but Veyr's gaze and Zariel's quiet nod kept him from bolting. Corin rose, leaning on his staff, his rags swaying. "Go at dawn. The Bloodveil's currents hide more than beasts. Sis's trail will test you, her father's sins, her mother's silence. Find her, and you'll find a piece of Eryndor's soul." He turned to the fire, dismissing them, the bones clattering in his hand. Outside, the Bloodwild's grey dark pressed close, its hum a low threat. Veyr checked his blades, muttering curses. Zariel scouted the clearing, his elf senses probing the shadows. Dylan sat against a tree, dagger in his lap, Corin's words looping in his head. Star-marked wanderer, love's fierce flame, shrine of stars, They meant nothing or everything, and the missing girl, Lys, felt like a trap, a story a mirror to his own failures. He wasn't ready for this, for Eryndor's tests or Veyr's expectations, but the jungle didn't care. It would chew him up, or he'd claw through, bloodied but alive. Veyr glanced over, his scarred face unreadable. "Sleep, boy, tomorrow's gonna hurt." His voice held a grudging respect, but his eyes were hard, already weighing the cost of Lys's trail. Zariel returned, his cloak streaked with ash. "The river's close. We'll need stealth. Something stirs beyond the trees." His words hung, heavy with the Bloodwild's malice. Dylan closed his eyes, the fire's warmth fading, Corrin's prophecy a splinter in his soul. Lys's story, abuse, loss, redemption, loomed like a storm, and he was walking into it, dagger in hand, with no way back.